spongy moisture, like the sponge, it has to be moist. You have to turn it weekly, and by turning it, you just kind of like stir it, like mix it around, you know? Like when you, it's kind of like when you're helping cook, you mix the food. And check the heat and the smell, and that's just adjusting like how much water or how much green plant or brown plants go into it.
So now for the part that you guys are going to do. We've been told that the 8th graders are going to handle our bin, and then we were told that 7th graders, and we're not really sure now. So whoever of you is the ones helping us, you are going to be doing a few specific jobs. You will be stirring this around probably once or twice a week. You will be watering it if it needs watered, and you will be putting scraps in there. It shouldn't be that hard because you have several people in your class. You and your teachers can come up with a schedule for who does what, when, just, okay, this person's scheduled to turn it for this day this week. And just kind of move through, and for the most part, it should just be kind of a go out, add scraps, and it's a little dry, add some water, or it's fine, we don't need to add water. It shouldn't be that much work, and it should be pretty easy. Once you have the compost, what do we do with it? We're still working on that. We're thinking we're going to sell it. But we could also add it to the community garden as fertilizer, or maybe partner up with the greenhouse or something to sell it.
This is our budget, and as you can see, we needed a lot of materials to make this. It is around $323, and the reason it is that much is because it is not required, but it's recommended that you use cedar, which is a lot more expensive wood, instead of using, I don't know what kind of wood, but cedar. But that's why it's so expensive, and we're hoping to earn that money back with selling it and our compost.
No, back. Click on the little home thingy.
What?
The home.
And then one more to the next slide. So to build it, we're still working on the whole lid thing. We've got the boards all cut and these things, and we've got the metal for the top, but we have yet to actually put that all together into the lid. For the bin, we worked on these first, the dividers, and what they are is, hold on, let me get all these in a second. Oh, you can see them. There are these things on the sides, and how we first started them was we took 4 boards and we screwed them together into a big square. Then we took some of this like wire mesh, it's also on our budget, it was called the hardware cloth, and we stapled it around the edges to make an inside so the compost wouldn't just fall out the side, but air can get in for ventilation.
We had a lot of problems with this. We had to redo a lot of stuff. At first, we stapled the wire on the outside and had to go on the inside, and then these were too far apart, the dividers. But we had a lot of problems, and it's not the easiest system to build. So if you are going to build it, you want to make sure you read every direction before you start. Because I can't even tell you how many staples and nails we have taken.
And they're not exactly the easiest things to remove from staples. Make sure you read your measuring lengths too, because we've cut a couple pieces of wood too short, too long. We actually had to go get another 2x6 or something like that, a really long piece, because cut it like too short or something.
It's definitely been a learning process. After we built the 4 dividers, we took and I'll put these up, but this board one here, the one at the back, and then the one at the top had to be screwed on to hold all the dividers so they didn't just fall over to actually make them into this shape. And then we added wire to the back, and that's stapled onto the back to form a wall for the back. And then we also cut a board that goes on the front, and then one that goes in back in here. And that makes 2 little bumps out on the side, and the slot in between is where the divider, or the slats go. The slats go in, and they form kind of the front to the bin, and when you're ready to remove the compost, you just lift them out and scoop off each layer at a time. That should be everything. Little green thingy up top. No.
Okay, some frequently asked questions that you guys probably have for us. First one, what can I compost?
As you've learned from our video and the other 2 videos, pretty much anything can be composted, but the things you're going to want to put in are going to be more kind of vegetables, fruits, wood, sawdust, leaves, grass, plant type items. Breads and grains and stuff work too, because they were made from seeds and grains from plants. But you're not going to want meat and dairy in as much, because when the bacteria in the compost systems are rotting everything down, meat and dairy will smell really, really bad, and there's a chance they can attract mice. And I'd rather not be the cause of a mouse infestation in the school, so let's not do that.
How expensive does it need to be?
As I told you, our compost system was rather expensive. But like you saw with the worm bin and the rolling bin, there is more inexpensive ways to do it. Ours is just bigger. That's pretty much the only thing different. It does speed up the process a little bit, but you do not need to make a $233 system to compost. You could just make a cheaper one than this.
What bin is best for me?
Well, it depends on where you're composting at. Like if you're gonna do it like at home, like say for your garden, then probably be better to have like the worm bin or the rolling bin, like something small. Or if you're gonna be like in a bigger place, then you could have something like the 3-bin system, or there's like you just put it in a pile, or there's other things that you could do. So it just really depends on where you're at and how much is going to be going into it.
Is it worth it?
We think composting will be worth it. We think, well, we already learned a lot just putting this together, and we think it'll be a good opportunity for you to learn some stuff. If you're talking cost-wise, if you're selling the compost, you can pay off what it took to build the bins. And also, our bin just being so expensive, the reason we chose our specific bin was because for a school this size, or any size really, we're going to produce a lot of food, and all the waste that's going to go into the compost system, we're not going to be able to fit it all into one of these littler ones, so ours composts huge amounts of compost really, really quickly.